From simple to stunning, transforming your small garden with elegant summer decor. Summer is a season that stretches the daylight into golden ribbons and lays them gently across every corner of our world. It invites us to slow our pace, to breathe more deeply, and to rediscover the beauty of life lived in the open air. Even the smallest garden, when touched with care and intention, can become a place where you feel not just at home, but truly transported. When I design such a space, I begin by stripping away the noise. Clutter is the enemy of elegance. And in a compact garden, every inch matters. I remove anything that does not speak to the story I want this place to tell. Each object must earn its right to be here. Each detail must align with the vision we're creating. It is in this clarity, this restraint, that the garden begins to breathe. Once the stage is set, we layer in texture, colour and form. Textiles are the first voice in this chorus. The cushions you choose, the rug beneath your feet, the throw draped over a chair. Each of these brings not only comfort, but character. I lean toward fabrics that whisper rather than shout, muted creams, warm taupes, deep navy, perhaps a gentle stripe, perhaps a subtle botanical print, nothing that demands, everything that invites. And these fabrics, they must endure the sun and the rain, for beauty in a garden is not only seen, but sustained. Light is the architect's favourite brushstroke. In summer, as the day sighs into evening, the transformation begins. A strand of warm lights hung just high enough to suggest intimacy. A series of solar lanterns marking a path, candles sheltered in glass. All of these turn your garden into a living painting. Sometimes I will choose one statement piece, a wrought iron chandelier suspended from a pergola, or pendant lamps gathered in a quiet cluster. The interplay of glow and shadow draws the eye, deepens the space, makes you want to linger. Furniture is where form and function meet in a perfect handshake. In a small garden, I choose pieces that are versatile, but never compromise on grace. A slender bistro table with ornate metalwork can host a morning coffee or an evening glass of wine. Compact rattan chairs or weathered teak topped with cushions that invite you to sit just a little longer. And always, I keep flexibility in mind, folding chairs, stackable stools, so the garden can adapt to the rhythm of your days. Plants are the living soul of the garden. I place them not just as greenery, but as characters in our scene. Potted lavender releases its perfume as you brush past. Hydrangeas explode in soft clouds of colour. White roses stand like quiet sentinels in terracotta. I work in layers, taller plants at the back, trailing varieties spilling forward to create depth and movement. Sometimes I let a single sculptural plant in a large urn hold the entire space in its quiet command. And there is the element of water. Even the smallest fountain, the gentlest ceramic bowl filled with water, can change the feeling of a garden entirely. The sound of it, low, steady, timeless, becomes the pulse of the space. Combined with the scent of flowers and the hum of summer evenings, it draws you inward towards stillness. Then, the details. A stone statue half hidden among foliage, a ceramic lantern catching the sunset, an outdoor mirror reflecting the sky back into the space. A vase of fresh seasonal flowers on the table, so simple and yet ever-changing. A piece of weatherproof wall art, perhaps inspired by the curves of a leaf or the ripple of water anchoring the garden's personality. All of it comes down to this. Elegance is not in the size of the space nor the expense of its decor. It is in the way each choice supports the others. It is the harmony of lighting and texture, plants and accessories brought together with intention. This is how even the humblest patch of earth can become your private haven, your invitation to stay just a little longer in the gentle embrace of summer. When I step into a garden in midsummer, I think not just of what I see, but of how the space makes me feel. Every element must tell a story, and that story must unfold slowly, like the pages of a well-worn book. This is why in my designs I pay attention to transitions. The way the eye moves from one corner to another, the way light falls on a path, the way a single bloom can catch your gaze and lead you toward discovery. To achieve this, I begin by shaping movement. In a small garden, movement is not about grand pathways, but about suggestion. A curve in a border, a sudden shift in plant height, a change in material beneath your feet. Gravel gives way to timber, timber to stone, each transition subtle but deliberate. These changes signal to the mind you are entering a new chapter, even in a space no larger than a few steps. Textures are my second language. In summer, they become especially important because light dances differently on each surface. The smooth coolness of glazed pottery, the grain of weathered wood, the intricate weave of rattan, the shimmer of a metal lantern in the evening glow. I combine these, not for variety's sake, but to create balance. Too much smoothness and the garden feels sterile, too much roughness and it loses refinement. It is in the dialogue between opposites that elegance emerges. Colour must be handled with discipline. A small garden cannot absorb every hue without losing its coherence. I choose a palette as I would for an interior space, perhaps soft creams and whites anchored by deep greens, with a single accent, lavender perhaps, or the blush of pale pink roses. This restraint allows the garden to feel calm, even when it is full of life. And when a visitor steps inside, they do not feel overwhelmed but embraced. Sound is the element most people overlook, yet in summer, it can transform the mood entirely. I think of the sound of wind in tall grasses, the trickle of water in a small fountain, the occasional rustle of leaves as a bird lands nearby. Even the placement of these sounds is deliberate. A fountain at the far end of the garden draws you deeper. Wind chimes in a sheltered nook create a private moment of melody. The ear, as much as the eye, experiences beauty. Seating is where we decide how the garden will be lived in. I avoid overcrowding a small space, but I ensure that every seat has a reason to be there. A bench tucked beneath a climbing rose for quiet reflection. A single lounge chair angled toward the sunset for the slow sip of evening tea. Even a step wide enough to sit upon can become an invitation to pause. I design these moments of rest so they feel inevitable, as if the garden itself asked you to stop and stay. Then comes the matter of scale. Large pieces in a small garden can create a sense of drama, a tall urn overflowing with ferns, a bold sculpture that commands the center. But these must be balanced with smaller, more intricate details so that the eye does not tire. In this play of grand and delicate, the garden feels layered, complex, worth exploring again and again. Finally, I consider the garden at night. Summer evenings have their own kind of magic, and a garden that disappears after sunset is a missed opportunity. I use lighting not to flood, but to guide. Low lights that graze the edges of plants, a single spotlight on a textured wall, a gentle glow from within a lantern. The shadows these create are as important as the light itself. They add mystery, and in mystery, the smallest garden can feel infinite. This is the essence of my craft, to take a space measured in feet and give it a depth measured in feeling. When each detail serves the whole, when every corner has a reason, when beauty can be seen, heard, touched, and even tasted in the air, the garden transcends its size. It becomes not just a place, but an experience. And in summer, with the warmth of the day lingering in the stones and the air scented with blooms, it becomes the kind of place you never wish to leave. When we move deeper into the philosophy of designing a summer garden, we begin to think beyond mere decoration and into the realm of emotion. A garden, no matter how small, should have the power to shift your mood, to quiet your thoughts, to awake something gentle and human within you. This is why I consider the emotional journey of the space as carefully as I do its physical structure. I often begin by creating a point of arrival. In a compact garden, this might be nothing more than a narrow gate or a simple arch of climbing jasmine. But that act of passing through, of stepping from one world into another, changes the way you experience what follows. It tells you that you have entered somewhere special. And in summer, when the air is rich with scent, that first step feels like crossing a threshold into another life. The choice of materials plays a crucial role in grounding this feeling. Stone underfoot gives a sense of permanence, wood a sense of warmth, gravel a soft crunch that slows your pace. I often combine these subtly, allowing transitions to mark shifts in mood, from the warmth of a timber deck to the coolness of a shaded stone path. The body feels these changes even before the mind takes note. Fragrance is another invisible architect. Summer gives us a palette unlike any other season. Lavender, rosemary, gardenia, each offering not only beauty to the eye, but poetry to the air. I plant them strategically so that movement through the garden is a journey through scent. A whiff of mint near the seating area, perhaps for garnishing drinks. The soft perfume of roses near a bench where one might linger at dusk. Fragrance lingers in memory long after the visual details have faded. Water I have spoken of before, but here I think of it as a mirror, a shallow bowl reflecting the sky, a narrow rill catching the evening light, even the way dew gathers on leaves in the early morning. These are moments of stillness, of contemplation. A garden is not only about growth, but about pause. I also design for perspective. In a small garden, there is no vast horizon, so we must create one. A trellis draped with greenery at the far edge, a painted wall with depth of colour, a vertical arrangement of pots leading the eye upward. This pulls the gaze beyond the immediate, giving the illusion of space where there is none. Furniture placement becomes part of this visual choreography. I angle chairs toward a view, however small, so that the eye has somewhere to rest. I use low tables to keep sightlines open, and I avoid placing bulky pieces where they block light or flow. In the right arrangement, even a single bench can feel like the heart of the garden. Seasonal adaptability is another quiet trick. Summer is abundant, but I design with the knowledge that seasons will turn. Removable cushions, modular plant arrangements, portable lanterns. These allow the garden to shift easily into autumn without losing its spirit. It is this flexibility that keeps the space alive, not only in summer's glow, but in the soft fading light that follows. I pay attention to how the garden feels at different times of day. Morning light is crisp and cool, revealing textures in a way the evening cannot. Midday sun is bold, demanding shade and soft fabrics for comfort. Evening light is liquid gold, perfect for dining, for gathering, for storytelling. By acknowledging these changes, I create a garden that works not for a single hour, but for the full arc of the day. And then there is the art of restraint. In a small garden, it is tempting to fill every space, but beauty often lives in what is left untouched. An empty corner where light pools in the afternoon, a bare section of wall, awaiting the shadow of a tree branch. These spaces breathe, and in their breathing, they give the garden life. What I aim for is not perfection in the manicured sense, but harmony. A space that feels as if it has always been here, as if nature and design were simply two friends working together. In summer, when the air hums and the evenings stretch long, such a garden becomes more than a visual delight. It becomes a refuge, a conversation with the season. A reminder that even in the smallest of spaces, the world can feel wonderfully vast. As we come to the final layers of shaping a small summer garden, I think not of the last details, but of the lasting impression. A garden should not only be beautiful when you are in it, it should stay with you, like a melody that lingers long after the music has stopped. This is why I design for memory, for moments that will quietly return to you in the weeks and years ahead. One way to do this is through signature elements. Perhaps it is the sound of water trickling from a small bronze spout, or the sight of a single white rose blooming against deep green foliage. Perhaps it is the soft rustle of bamboo in a summer breeze, or the warm glow of lanterns that welcome you back each evening. These are the anchors, the details that imprint themselves on your senses so that the garden becomes inseparable from the feeling of summer itself. I also believe in designing for human interaction. A garden, no matter how serene, should invite use. A bistro table set for two, a corner lounge where friends can talk late into the night, a low wall that serves as both boundary and casual seating. When a space feels lived in, it gains a kind of authenticity that pure design alone cannot provide. Food and drink are natural companions to summer living. I sometimes include a small herb planter near the table so that mint can be picked fresh for iced tea. or rosemary can be clipped for a simple grilled dish. These moments of connection between garden and table deepen the sense of place. They turn the garden into an extension of the home's heart. Another layer is the inclusion of art. This can be as refined as a hand-carved stone statue or as simple as a weathered wooden sign with a favorite phrase. Art personalizes the garden, making it a reflection not just of design principles, but of the person who tends it. Placed well, art also creates focal points, encouraging the visitor to pause and engage rather than merely passing through. I think, too, of how the garden will age. Summer beauty is fleeting, but I choose elements that grow richer with time. Wood that silvers in the sun, terracotta that gains a soft patina, perennials that return each year with quiet reliability. This slow transformation tells a story. It reminds us that elegance is not a fixed state, but an ongoing conversation between nature and care. And of course, I never forget the importance of comfort. The most striking garden will fail if it does not invite you to stay. Cushions that are firm yet yielding, chairs with the right curve to support an evening's rest, shaded spots where the midday heat can be escaped. Comfort is the invisible host, the one who makes sure you never want to leave. In a small garden, the edges are as important as the center. I soften boundaries with climbing plants, cascading flowers, or even mirrors that reflect sky and greenery back into the space. These edges dissolve the sense of enclosure, allowing the garden to feel open, even when the physical dimensions are modest. I always design with change in mind. Summer itself is movement, shifting light, changing blooms, breezes that reshape the air. The garden must mirror this dynamism, offering something new each time you enter. A blossom opening in the morning, the deepening shade of evening, the subtle fragrance that grows stronger as the night cools. Ultimately, my aim is to create a garden that speaks to all the senses: sight, sound, scent, touch, and even taste. When these elements come together, they create not just an outdoor room, but a living, breathing world of its own. And though the space may be small, the experience it offers is expansive. This is the quiet triumph of thoughtful design. To stand in the heart of your own garden on a summer evening, golden light fading, air scented with flowers, and feel as if you have stepped into a place beyond time. To know that every texture, every sound, every shadow was chosen not just to please the eye, but to nourish the soul. And to realize that elegance, true elegance, has nothing to do with size or cost and everything to do with intention. In the end, a small summer garden, well designed, becomes a mirror of the season itself, brief, beautiful, and unforgettable. It is a reminder that life's richest pleasures often bloom in the smallest of spaces.